Nothing against Americans, I just don't like the accent. That's my problem.
Taiwanese American, I'm sure. Zoom is like Chinese American or something.
It's our fault that they all left Europe to go to the New World. If we had treated them better, they wouldn't have had to leave. Then it would be a very different world. Okay, I'm muting all of you out of my dictatorial tendencies and will allow you to speak later. Yes. Okay, wonderful. So, yeah, we can engage in this with a very powerful sense that not only are we always living in a time of crisis, in the sense that, you know, we're living in samsara, we're not living in you know, some fairy tale land. Death can come at any time in many shapes and sizes. Sickness can come, accidents can come, change of circumstances can come in our life that make things very difficult, or make it very difficult to then have time or space or conditions to investigate the Dharma, investigate our minds, investigate the path, which Buddha said leads to awakening, nurture our Buddha nature. All these conditions that we have right now, in this moment, which is amazing, all these things have come together, these circumstances that nurture our practice, but who knows, in 10 minutes, in 10 seconds, it can change for any of us. So many people in their 60s, 50s, even 40s now have heart attacks. You know, you have a heart attack, you're gone. Or you have a stroke and you don't get speedy or proper treatment, so then you are paralyzed for life. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. You know? So we're very fortunate. We should realize that. We have this opportunity to investigate together. Yeah, we've been suffering according to Lord Buddha since beginningless time. And beginningless means beginningless, no beginning to this consciousness. How could there be a beginning? It's something to be investigated. If you're a strong believer in a creator God, then of course you have your reason. But for Buddhists, that's not a good enough reason. Mind is beginningless. Karma, afflictive emotions are beginningless. Thankfully, also Buddha nature is beginningless. So that seed of enlightenment is beginninglessly there. That can be nurtured. That can be nurtured to the extent that we can become fully awakened people, all-knowing Sarvajani Buddhas. Just to warn you that there is a procession on the street outside. They have not finished the Chat
cycle, and now recite the mantra.
Whoops, there's some. I was cleaning the computer earlier.
Recite the Gadaglengi praise to the protectors.
And something started speaking from within the computer, something that had been recorded a long time ago. I can hear something in the background. Are you being disturbed by any faint something in the background? Yeah, there's some teaching going on in the background, and I don't know which program it's on because I was touching all these keys, and touching all those keys, something came up, and then I didn't know what or how to close it down. So I hope my voice is loud enough to outdo the other. And I'm just trying to find out where that other thing is, but it's difficult. It's something, yeah. Hopefully it won't be too disturbing. I might have to just work with that until I get one of the young, till I get one of the young students here to work on it, people who understand computers. What you're probably hearing now is from the street, because they do make quite a racket and they pass by very slowly, as though to deliberately taunt us here in the Burmese behalf. Okay. Anyway, it's just sound, right? It's sound. If we're disturbed by it, that's our problem. Our lack of ability to just relax and hear it as sound. Although it is harder to relax when one's trying to sleep at night and they go on till midnight and start very early morning. That is harder, but it's possible. So here, I'm providing you with free sound from Holy Bodh Gaya. Just listen to it as part of the meditation at the beginning. I don't think it will last very long. Or I could just mute myself and we can all just do some meditation, okay? So as we sit, let there be a sense of stillness, sense of being at ease, relaxed, and also awake, alert. Let there be a sense of really letting go and relaxing with the out breath. A sense that we're not doing anything special. Let there be a sense of being at ease, not trying too hard, not even trying. A natural dignity, stability. Okay. Please reflect on the following words. It's a supplication to the teacher, to the guru, which is not to be considered separate from the inner guru, one's own wisdom mind, of which the outer guru is a reflection, one could say. Or the outer guru, the job of the outer guru is to remind us and connect us ultimately with our inner guru, which is the bliss, the emptiness of our own deep, pristine awareness, our wisdom mind. My mind is Buddha, but I do not recognize it. My thoughts are the body of truth, but I do not realize it. Not contriving or trying, is the intrinsic state, but I can't sustain that. Mind simply settling into itself is my abiding nature, but I don't yet have any confidence in that. Master, teacher, know me. Look on me swiftly with your great compassion. Bless me that my innate wisdom may be freed on the spot right now. It is taught that all suffering comes from just wanting our own happiness. And that Buddhahood is achieved through the altruistic mind of wishing happiness for others. Yet, even as I generate bodhicitta, I conceal selfish interests within. Not only do I fail to benefit others, but I actually cause them harm. Master, know me, look on me swiftly with your great compassion. Bless me that I'm able to exchange myself with others. In outward appearance, I look like an authentic dharmic practitioner, but inwardly, my mind has not yet merged with the Dharma. Disturbing emotions lurk within, snakes in the grass. When I encounter adversity, then I am unmasked. My flaws, my mistakes are laid bare. Or one could say my shortcomings are laid bare. Master, know me. Look on me swiftly with your great compassion. Bless me that I tame my mind. Not recognizing my own failings, I impersonate a practitioner of Dharma while carrying on in all manner of non-dharmic ways. Thoroughly habituated to disturbing emotions and negative karma, even when time and again a virtuous intention strikes, again and again it is cut short. Master, know me. Look on me swiftly with your great compassion. Bless me that I see my own faults. This is from a very famous, wonderful prayer by Jamgon Kongtrul Lodro Thaya, great practitioner, great master of the 19th century, called Devotion That Pierces My Heart, a supplication for calling the Guru from afar. Very famous, very wonderful prayer. Many verses. I just chose 3 or 4 verses. So the commentary in this text to one of those verses, the one that I think I read on last, and not recognizing my own failings, I impersonate a practitioner of Dharma, that verse. This is the commentary by another great Lama, who tragically passed away quite young, the third Jamgon Kongtrul Rinpoche, who tragically died in a car accident in late 80s or 90s. Marvelous Lama, very wonderful Lama. I met very briefly once. So he says, in addition to overcoming self-deception, we have to enhance our vigilance, that introspective quality of awareness which knows the state of our own mind. But this is the point, you know, this is me speaking now. You know, we're very quick to see mistakes in others, very quick, so quick, it's unbelievable, instantaneous. But how much do we really see the mistakes in our own mind? Especially the subtle ones, you know? The devious qualities, the deceptions, and sometimes just the outright bad, you know, manners, bad actions that we engage in with our speech and our body and mind. And of course,
So now we
also
recite
thoughts.
praise to the lineage gurus of the high group cycle.
Well, excuse now, there's some voice in the background. I'm really sorry about that. The only way to stop that would be to turn off the computer and turn it on again. Maybe we will have a couple of minutes break at some point where I do that. Though it's not very loud. And it's Dharma prayers, it sounds like chanting. So we can pretend there's a monastery next door, okay? And we're listening to the background. I think they have a word for this now, although brown sound or something. Brown. I was reading it. Apparently, you have certain sounds on in the background continuously, and it helps kind of relax the mind.
So just
There's
for
a
your
kind of
information,
continuous
we
hum
recite
of something in the
praise to
background.
the lineage lamas
So
and request
people
prayers
use that
to the lineage
to
lamas
relax
of the
their
high
mind.
group cycle.
I heard, but I have to check again on
We
Google.
forgot the booklets. We will bring tomorrow maybe.
Oh dear. Could even be my voice there at some point. I'm not sure. Anyway, so as practitioners, we need to avoid the failure to recognize and examine our own faults. And that's only going to happen if we have continuous awareness, right? I mean, we know how if we're not aware while we're walking in the street, we can, you know, fall into a hole or put our foot into dog shit. It's so easy. So with the mind, even easier to not know, to not recognize, isn't it? When something disturbing is arising or we've been distracted. Or, I mean, we see it all the time. We're talking to someone, the phone rings, and then we attend to that rather than the person in front of us. We're so easily distracted by anything, you know? And we always maybe have an excuse for our distraction. Of course, often we don't have. So vigilance is the faculty that allows us to do this. Without sufficient vigilance, what will stop our strong habitual tendencies to react under the direction, under the slavery of our disturbing emotions? Yeah. Without vigilance, what can stop those tendencies? Nothing. So awareness of our state of mind gives us increased perspective, allowing us to spot our faults objectively. This is fertile soil for practice. It's that third verse of the 8 verses of Training the Mind. Those amazing verses where Tome Zangpo says, in all actions may I examine my mind. As soon as negative emotions arise, since they cause trouble for myself and others, may I avert them using direct methods. So in another commentary by Chökyi Nyima Rinpoche, he says, whatever we may be doing, walking, sitting, eating, lying down, should always examine and analyze our mental state for negative emotions. And we shouldn't divide our day into, you know, oh, this is my Dharma session, this is the Zoom session, so I'll be a little bit more alert and vigilant during the session. But, you know, when it ends, then what happens, you know? Then what happens? Especially if there's slightly challenging circumstances in our life, very easy for us to go berserk, pretty much. So we have to really watch our mind at all times. We can do something about taming our emotional affliction. That's a far better use of our time than fussing about other people's perceived faults. And we may spend hours reciting prayers, liturgies, mantras. If our intentions are tainted with disturbing emotions throughout, however, our practice is ineffectual. Now, do not think this means that you should go to the other extreme, believing that all mantra recitation or retreat practice is meaningless until you have fully tamed your mind. No, we still have to do these things, but we have to keep these teachings of watching the mind always there in the forefront. It's like saying, oh, I shouldn't practice generosity unless, until I perfect it, until I have the perfection of generosity. Well, excuse me, that's maybe not going to happen this lifetime, that we're able to fuse our giving with realization of emptiness, okay? So it doesn't mean we stop giving just because we can't do it perfectly yet. No, we have to keep on giving and aspire, of course, to be able to give perfectly in the future. That's why aspiration is so important. Dedicating the merits to that. And every day in the Mahayana, we pray for that at the beginning prayer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the positive energy that I generate by practicing giving and the other perfections. May I attain the state of a Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. So that is there. We are aspiring all the time to achieve. May I attain the state of a Buddha by my practice of giving and the other perfections. May I attain the state of a Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. So this is not there yet. We are aspiring to that. It's so important. Not in the name of perfectionism to say, oh, I can't do it now perfectly, so therefore, it's not worth even trying. No, you must. I mean, anything in mundane life too, if you want to be a concert pianist or an athlete, a really good athlete, you don't stop practicing just because you can't, play like the maestros or run like, Usain Bolt or whoever it is, right? We start where we are. The same applies to actively engaging in virtue. Here too, our habitual imprints take us in the wrong direction. We do understand how important it is to gather virtue, but we forget or we delay, we procrastinate. Perhaps we do actually engender a moment of the pure aspiration of bodhicitta, but it evaporates almost as quickly as it forms, like morning mist. And Shantideva's guide poetically illustrates this. A flash of lightning shatters the darkness of a clouded night, illuminating all but for a moment. Just so, in our world, even with the power of the Buddha, the virtuous mindset appears, but rarely, and is evanescent. It comes and goes so quickly. This is from the first chapter, verse number 5, very early on in that great text. Shantideva is talking about how susceptible our mind is to distraction and the disturbing emotions. Yeah. So here we are praying to the Guru for the blessing of facing down our own faults. This helps prevent us from turning on others, blaming others, allows us to direct our practice to the true enemies, our own klesh, our own disturbed states of mind. So important to always remember this, because our habit is to always search for the problem, the source of the problem outside. It's just automatic, like a knee-jerk reaction. I'm suffering, must be some external thing, something. The noise, the people, the blah, 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 always something, But if we really check, it all comes down to the state of one's own mind. So all of the mind-changing practices, we were talking about, the 4 mind-changing practices. I think even yesterday we were talking about this. And we had a little test, and a few people did very well in that test, in that little test. I wonder, I'm tempted to ask again, just to see how much absorption we have in our mind. I don't want to pick on the same people all the time, but would anyone like to remind us of these 4 critically important meditations, which, when remembered and practiced, really help, it is said, the mind to be directed towards authentic practice? What are those 4 initial meditations? I'll have to hold on. You can now unmute yourselves. What are those 4? Anyone want to give us the first one? Of course, there could be many, there could be dozens, but these 4 contain really 4 extremely powerful ways to, cut the nonsense, if you like, cut the crap and get to the heart of things. Cut the nonsense out of our minds, out of our life. What are these 4? Elaine, number 1. Hesitation. Hesitation. Sagar, what's number 1?
Kabirji, we did 3 higher trainings yesterday.
We did that, so maybe 4 days ago we did the 4 mind changes. That's not so long ago, is it? Number 1, Pradeep ji.
Are we talking about the meditation on
The 4 mind-changing meditations, which turn the mind towards the Dharma. Initial meditations.
Impermanence, Kabirji.
Oh, okay.
Huh? Kya cheez? Somebody shouted from the background. Hello?
Is it an impermanence, Kabirji?
Unimpermanence?
Yes.
What is unimpermanence?
No, impermanence, not
Impermanence.
Yes.
Well, that's not the first one. It's not the first one, it's the second. But what's the first one? Thank you.
The meditation on precious human life. Yeah.
Thank you. First one is the reflection on the precious human life. This we keep on forgetting, precious human life. We take it for granted. But I suggest, and I'm not speaking as any great practitioner, don't misunderstand me. It's just very basic. Every time we eat something, we can remember, I have some food to eat. I'm a human being. I can utilize this food to have, to carry on my life and have a meaningful life. Not only that, it's not just the fact that I'm not an animal or something, but I'm also not a human being who's starving. I have everything I need right now to continue practicing the Dharma if I want. I have a human life. I don't have any gross physical or mental defects that stop me practicing. I live in a country where I'm allowed to practice. I have the conditions, other conditions. I have the texts, I have notes, I have books, I have teachers. I have all manner of things. I have people who take the trouble to run Dharma centers at sometimes great expense and great effort from many people involved. And then when you look at things like Tibet House, think how many people are involved in the efforts of Tibet House, quite apart from Geshe-la. So many people involved in running that institution so that people can study the Dharma, okay? Which we take for granted because it's just coming on our screen. So it's, kind of nice and easy. Okay, we paid some money, but, we should also be thankful that we have enough money. So we have all the causes conditions, We're not born as animals. We're not born as hungry ghosts. We're not born in the hell realm. We're not born as a demigod whose whole life is based on competitiveness and power and glory and all that garbage. We're not a long life God who has a blissful, incredibly long life, but with nothing positive happening in it. Kind of blanked out, trance-like state. We're not one of those gods, you know? And we're not a human being who's slowly dying of starvation in Somalia or South Sudan or wherever. We're not a poor Indian farmer who's lost their crop due to climate change and other things happening and who is not being sufficiently helped by, you know, whoever. You know, we're not one of those people. We're not belong to a family of one of the tens of thousands of farmers who've committed suicide in India in the last 20 years, you know. We are none of those things. We have an amazing life. We have a precious human life. And yet we keep on complaining. We keep on complaining. This is not right, that is not right, blah, blah, blah. You know, when you think about it really properly, then it's kind of pathetic. We really need to develop some more awareness and analyze our situation, see how amazing it is compared to the mass of humanity. We're much more fortunate than any president in the world that I can think of, or prime minister, because those people are totally caught up in politics and other problems, right? We don't have those problems, you know? Okay, we're not on posters everywhere, people are not cheering for us, but we have something much more precious, which is this interest and ability to practice the Dharma, which means, in straight language, we have the ability to investigate our mind, investigate that which is the actual cause of lasting happiness and Buddhahood. That's our mind. It's not praise or pleasure or good reputation or gain in the sense of monetary gain or, you know, real estate or whatever it is, you know. We have everything we need. You know, we are so amazingly fortunate and we don't recognize it because we're caught up with our self-pity attitude, Lama Yeshe used to call it. Self-pity. We invest in a self-pity attitude. Many of us. Oh, this is not right, that is not right, you know. Oh, I wasn't treated well as a child, or oh, blah, blah, blah. We have many things we can talk about. So that's an excuse to feel sorry for ourselves and to, you know, feel very, very upset and that, you know, we don't have, you know, a good life. We have an amazing life. Potentially, we have an extraordinary life. All of us here. Precious human life. It's not an ordinary human life. Ordinary human life means you're just someone who's having to spend your whole day just to survive or engaging in dubious practices of many kinds. Or, of course, slowly starving to death. We don't have that kind of life, do we? I don't think anybody here has that kind of life. So that's precious human life. This is just very brief explanation of precious human life. We have all that is needed to, especially all of us here, we have access to great teachers, either directly or indirectly through their teachings and books or YouTube and so forth. Unbelievable. Never in history have people had this opportunity. People had to travel literally in Tibet, 1,000 miles or more, thousands of miles. You look at the map of Tibet, if you had to travel from a border region to Lhasa, where teachings may be happening, it's months journeys, you know, walking. Some people would prostrate all the way. And what do we have to do? Nothing, just turn on YouTube or, you know, Zoom, and we have the books right there, immediately in front of us. So of course, that is also a disadvantage, isn't it? We take it for granted. It's like having water in your tap.
You also told me to definitely go.
Sorry, the background is now a little bit louder. I'm sorry about that. I just don't know how to deal with it. Maybe we stop. Shall we stop for a while and turn off the computer and you all have a break? Think about what I said. Then we'll go on to the next three meditations that turn the mind. These are very important. We shouldn't forget
Especially
these.
science. And
I
also
think,
based
will
on
that be good?
advice
Is the
of,
background
Kabir
talking
Saxena.
disturbing? Okay, turning off my
So at that
computer.
time, there was also Kala Chakra initiation happening in Bulgaria.
I think that has solved it. Okay, thank you for still being there. Okay, so precious human life. Just one anecdote there. I was studying in England at the Buddhist center where I first really met the Dharma strongly. And when I was studying there and working there in early 80s, there was a Swiss practitioner. There was a Swiss man. We used to, in the break times, we would play volleyball and other things in the grounds. There were beautiful grounds in the center in the north of England. But he would never join in. And somebody asked him, you never join in our sports or anything. You're practicing so much of the time. He was a really strong practitioner. How do you manage that? How do you maintain that kind of practice? And he said, yeah, well, of course, sometimes I become a bit lazy and a bit, downhearted, whatever, but a bit, kind of lazy. But at those times, I try and do strong reflection, analytical meditation on the precious human life. And when I reflect on that, it really gives me the energy to practice. and not spend time on pursuits that aren't really that relevant. So that, of course, is a very unusual person, I would say, someone who possibly has strong samskars, imprints for practice. First of all, being willing to engage in strong analytical meditation on that topic, and then it having that strong effect on his mind. You know? But that was very inspiring to hear that at that time. You know, this very strong practitioner. Haven't stayed in touch. So I don't know what happened to him or anything, but yeah. So you see, it's not like this is something for Tibetans or Indian scholars 500, 700,000 years ago. These teachings work now. They work. They would work in the 21st century if we applied our mind to them, because that's what they do. Just like water quenches our thirst in the 21st century, just like it did ever since humans began. So it's not like Dharma is not going to work now. It's harder, yes, it's harder because the disturbing emotions and the distractions are stronger. In this degenerate era, these things are strong and getting stronger, you could say, in many ways. Yeah, we become kind of a shadow, a shell of authentic practice, but still possible. Okay, so the second one, as was mentioned, is by Naveenji, is the death and impermanence. That's a very important one, very powerful one, often mentioned alone, without precious human life. Meaning, if a Lama wanted to say, what's one of the things that will make us practice immediately and powerfully, they will often mention death and impermanence, not precious human life. But death and impermanence is like, you know, if we could really, really feel in our bones that I could die now, I could die tonight, I could maybe not see any of you again, if we could really understand that, how it is possible, and how things are changing moment by moment, really understood it at a deep level, meaning not just intellectually, then, as one Lama said, actually it should scare us so much initially that we shouldn't be able to sleep. It should scare us that much. You know, as long as we get scared because we have an exam or an interview tomorrow, we can't sleep, that's nothing. You know, how about thinking about we're going to die? Or the fact that circumstances could change so much that my life will be turned upside down tomorrow, you know? How about that? Isn't that going to make us sleepless? Well, it doesn't make most of us sleepless, does it? What makes us sleepless is some worry about the job or some relationship problem, or somebody disturbing us or whatever, or somebody owes me money. I have no way, it looks like they're going to repay me. That may keep us awake, but death and impermanence, that doesn't keep us awake. Maybe it should. One Lama says it should make us so upset that we can't sleep initially. You know? It just brings to mind something else that was in the news recently, not totally connected, but the same kind of idea, that this person from one African country, I think Ghana or whatever, he said, the rich white people in the Western world, they are not going to be really serious about climate change until they themselves start dying from climate change, from the effects of climate change. Until then, they're not going to pay attention. It's like true, you know. Until, you know, we may hear all these problems that other people are having, like, you know, starvation. Well, what does starvation mean to us who have 3 or 4 meals a day or more if we want? What does starvation mean to us? It means nothing. It's a word, it's images on TV maybe, which we can quickly change to another channel, you know. That's what starvation is to us. Maybe some of us engage in fasting sometimes for religious reasons, but do we do it? Those who are hungry, I don't know, we do it to please some God who may or may not exist and who doesn't care anyway. Sorry, that's my prejudice, my conditioning to say that. But anyway, how much do we care about people who are actually starving? So anyway, yeah, death and impermanence. Death should scare us. Because, if I were to die today, what would be the state of my mind? It's not about not having written a will yet and the confusion that may come for others, so that is also there. The problem is, what will their mind be like? What will my death be like? What will my intermediate state be like? What will my rebirth be like? Given the knowledge I have of my state of mind, how distracted it is, how uncontrollable it is, even now while I'm awake. So when I'm faced with the visions that come at death time and after death, how will I cope with them? If I react so strongly with aversion and attachment to my waking visions, how am I going to react to the visions that come when I die? We should think about this. We should read about death and what it means, which means reading about death, intermediate state, and rebirth in books like Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, excellent, clear teachings on that whole process and how to work with it. So, but we don't do that. So we just merrily carry on living because tomorrow we feel the sun will rise in pretty much the same place in the east. And we can check what time it's going to rise and, on our smartphones. And our smartphones will still be by our side, whether or not, other people are, but our smartphone will be there. Tea will be there. Biscuits will be there. Life is bearable. And we just plod on, like automatons. Maybe we don't need artificial intelligence. We're already kind of artificially intelligent. Just carrying on automatic pilot day to day. So, yeah, death and impermanence. Death can come anytime. So therefore, we should practice the Dharma now. And then the teaching that says that only Dharma will be helpful when we die. Nothing material can help us as we're dying, actually. Although, of course, modern medicine can help us with the pain. But of course, there could also be side effects of that, making the mind very dull and unclear. But whatever, the only thing that really helps us at the time of death is our own mind and the goodness in our own mind. The good qualities, the Guru devotion, compassion, calm, contentment, loving kindness. All these things will help us tremendously when we die. But we can't even generate those while we're awake and alive and healthy. So how do we expect to magically start generating them when we're going through the traumas of dying? It's not going to be possible, So this is something to think about. So when you can imagine, when we properly think about death and impermanence, we want to practice the Dharma right now. And because it's the only thing that helps with death, we want to do it properly. Half-hearted way won't help. Just like if you mix your medicines with other things, water down the medicines that a good doctor gives you, or take them in the wrong way, or take them with food that your doctor has told you not to eat because it's bad for you, then we're not going to have, how can we expect any good results? So Dharma is the same way. If we mix it with polluting attitudes, how can it work? You tell me, how can it work? We're always mixing it with attachment, with anger, with pride, with just empty ritual, becomes just a habit, which we don't really understand anymore why we're doing something. It's to show off, so that when people ask, we can say, oh yes, I do so and so. such and such in so many hours a day or blah, blah. But, how much is it actually changing our minds? That's the question. Anyway, what is the third thing that helps us turn towards the Dharma?
Kabirji, law of causality.
Thank you. Law of causality, otherwise known as actions and their consequences, or karma. Karma. Actions have consequences. So in general, positive actions lead to happiness, positive results. Unwholesome actions lead to unhappiness, unpleasant situation. What determines karma? Mainly the intention. If an action is motivated by a disturbing emotion, and then the action is completed, then we have created a complete karma, whether it is a good one or a bad one. So take killing. We want to kill someone out of attachment or anger, usually anger or jealousy or whatever. That's a negative emotion. We're not killing out of great compassion or wisdom. We're killing out of a klesh, out of a disturbing emotion. We have an object that we know we want to kill that person. We are not drunk or in a state of madness, so we know what we're doing, and we kill that person, and we engage in the action of killing them, and they die before we die. It's not like we're harming each other in a battle and I die first and they die later. If that were to happen, there wouldn't be a complete karma of killing. For complete karma of killing, the person has to die before me, right? If I kill an ant, it can't be that I have a heart attack immediately while I'm killing the ant or something and I die first. No, I have to kill the ant dies. I may die 10 seconds later of a heart attack, but I have killed that being. So that's a complete karma of killing has happened, even if I die just a few seconds afterwards. But I have to die later, obviously. If while I'm about to tell a lie or in the process of a sentence of telling a lie, the intention is there, but I suddenly have a heart attack, and all the words don't come out, then I haven't told a complete lie, although I've intended to. So there is karma, but not a complete karma of lying. So anyway, karma is like that. We need intention, we need action, we need the action to be completed, and so forth. All these things, we have to have an object. You can't lie to a mirror, you can't lie to a clock, start talking to your clock or to your smartphone, lying to it. That doesn't count, because your smartphone up to now is not deceived. It doesn't have the consciousness to be deceived, because lying also means the other person has to believe you. If they don't really believe you at all, then it's not a complete action of lying. Although the intention to lie makes it, of course, slightly quite a bit negative, but it's not a complete action of lying. It's the complete actions that are very powerful, that have the power to throw us into particular samsaric realms, such as a complete karma of killing has that ability to throw us into the hell realm. If we accidentally kill someone or an ant, that's not going to throw us through that power into a hell realm. No way. There's no intention, but there is a slightly negative effect through being whatever, careless or whatever. We know that ants cross the path at a certain place, but we don't take care and we tread on them. It's not good, but it's not, you didn't intend to kill them. If you keep on doing it, that is also not good at all. But if you're not meaning to do it, it is not a complete karma of killing. That makes sense, right? And it shows the primacy of mind. Mind. So anyway, karma, and the point here is that if we create negative karma, it will not just go away. It will ripen at some time in the future, unless it is purified through powerful purification practices. It will ripen like a seed in the ground that is not yet burnt up. It can give its result. If it meets the right circumstances, that will happen. So you may be having a very peaceful, very wonderful life, rich, enough money, good partner, good job, good situation, good health, and you go out one day and you meet someone with whom you have a very bad karmic connection because you harmed them in a previous life, and that can trigger just being with that person, or something arises with that person and they harm you. You cannot say what may happen due to previous karmic seeds ripening. They can harm you, or you can harm them. You may kill them and then go to jail. So all our peaceful, happy, wonderful life gets totally turned upside down because of karmic seed ripening, which we had not purified. And people say, wow, he was such a nice person, such a good person, so kind to his wife and children. It may be true. But because of that karma that was there, we harm others or they harm us. You know, like people say, how could such a good person die of cancer? How could such a nice person be harmed by another? You know, such a good person, so unfair. Nothing is unfair in karmic cause and effect. We've created the cause, we will receive the result. And this is a question for you guys, and I've mentioned this many times before, say a negative action of killing has many results, right? Including the ability to throw us into a very negative life situation. What is one of the most harmful aspects of karma, of negative karma? What is one of the most harmful results? Yes, Sagar bhai?
You can form a habit out of it. You can do it again and again.
Very good. Yeah. So you kill, you somehow have this habit, which I've mentioned before, but worth remembering again and again. And it's with any negative action, and of course, with also positive actions. But take the negative one. Say we have this habit of not telling the whole truth, you know, deceiving people in ways, or harsh speech. It's so easy just to keep on doing it. Life to life, I mean, not just in one life. And then sometimes we wonder, isn't it, how people can engage in the most barbaric actions of killing others and then even eating the bodies of people they kill. We think, what is that? That's animal-like. Exactly, that's the point, animal-like. For Buddhists, that shows animal karma. That's animal karma ripening. Obviously, it's not human karma, is it? How many humans do we know that like to kill and eat each other? Not many. That's animal karma. So if we have a lot of animal instincts, they're still there in our psyche, in our mind, they can ripen. You know? I mean, one reads about these awful people, not awful people, sorry, awful actions of certain disturbed people. Serial killers, serial murderers, serial rapists, even nurses or doctors who keep on killing their patients. Not with axes, of course, but by injecting them or giving them the wrong medication. How can that happen? And how can people go out and, kill even big fish and then proudly hold a dead fish in their arms and be photographed? You can think, I would never do that. I would never do that. We may think like that. So how come this person is doing it? Hard to understand without knowing about the law of karma. Why can some people not even bear the smell of meat, let alone eat it? Why? And some people love the smell. They smell the right, tandoori fried chicken shop, or the, sheikh kebab, or whatever it's called, shish kebab. And they make a beeline for that place, That intoxicates them, that smell. Why? It's just about habits. It's about predispositions. What is Vedika saying here? There are people in entire countries that follow Buddhism and are non-vegetarians, isn't it? Not entire countries, no. There's always people in countries that like to be vegetarian. So yeah, there's also that. You're a Buddhist at heart and you're a very good Buddhist, but you like meat. You continue to eat meat. That can also be a collective habit, but yes, it also has to resonate with some inner habit one has built up, of liking meat. If one had strong predisposition not to eat meat, as say a Burmese monk or Thai monk, and Burmese and Thais, by the way, eat a lot of fish and stuff, even the monks. So, but if you were a monk who had very strong instincts from the past life of being a vegetarian, then one wouldn't want to. One wouldn't eat all that seafood and so forth. And slowly the Tibetans are changing their habits. They were great meat eaters because that's what was there in Tibet, not much else to eat. But due to the influence of lamas and His Holiness and so forth, many Tibetans now, not know how happily, but they are vegetarian. So people can change also, even within one lifetime, due to understanding the benefits of being vegetarian and the demerits of eating meat, which are there in several sutras, especially the descent from Lanka Sutra, Lankavadar Sutra, which is like really a very powerful statement against meat eating. Of course, Buddha himself didn't prohibit meat eating as long as the monks didn't ask for meat, or the meat was not killed specifically for them, or they didn't kill it themselves, of course, then they are allowed to eat meat. But also in places, Buddha said that it's much better not to eat meat, obviously, given the suffering involved, obviously. But yes, there are Buddhist countries like, or partly Buddhist countries anyway. I mean, Japanese eat a lot of fish. Thais, Burmese, Sri Lankans eat a lot of meat, or at least seafood, definitely. If you go to an offering ceremony in Bodh Gaya, in the monastery, not under the Bodhi tree. I think under the Bodhi tree, they make sure it's vegetarian, but in their monasteries, they eat. On the Sangadanas, when the lay people are offering food, there's usually quite a lot of fish, or some kind of seafood at the Sri Lankan temple, Mahabodhi Society. So yeah. Anyway, we're talking of karma. What's the fourth? What is the fourth thing that changes the mind? Apart from precious human life, death and impermanence, and karma. Who said that?
Suffering.
Huh? Suffering. Are you asking or telling?
No, I think it's suffering.
Think it's suffering. You want to put your money on the table, sir?
It is.
I'm not here. We mustn't pretend. We mustn't make people think we are betting people. But are you gonna lock किया जाए या किसी दोस्त से पूछना है?
Lock किया जाए.
Very good. You get merit. You're right, of course. Suffering, which is a vast topic. Yeah, this documentary called Earthlings can really inspire people to go vegetarian. That's a chat in the chat from Sagar. How should one look at killings in war? Especially just war, yes. Say in the case of Palestinian struggle, or even the African National Congress had a military wing. This is tricky. Of course, in the name of justice, one can go around killing, and some people will kill without much enthusiasm or without any, but knowing that perhaps they are working for a greater good purpose. Some will thoroughly enjoy killing. So it depends also on how one kills, or what kind of karma one's creating. If one is killing out of a sense of, well, I don't really want to kill this other person, they're a human being like me, but somehow circumstances are such that I am killing them. I have been told to, I must. If I don't, they will whatever. They will take revenge on my family, the government I work for, whatever. But yes, but yeah, there is killing. How, as far as just wars are concerned, that's tricky. If you ask who is just to Putin, he'll say, we are just. If you ask Zelensky, he'll say, we are in the right, we are just. If you look at the whole situation, it is not so black and white that one side can say this is a just war, The American and other arms dealers making billions of dollars with their war machines going to the bank, they will say, yeah, this is a very just war. And by the way, very good for our pockets, And we would like this war to continue, this just war, so we can get even richer. So, it's all a little bit tricky. It's all very complex. It's like the Bible says, let him who is free from sin cast the first stone. You're going to stone somebody, be very careful, Judge not that ye be judged. The Bible has some very good sayings. Don't judge others. You can also be judged. Nobody is crystal clear, clean, that they can criticize others. So anyway, just war, not sure. But anyway, if you are in a situation where you are forced to kill in a just war, that is your karma. Also, your karma to be forced in that situation, in that very delicate, tricky situation. Of course, if you're in a country where you are allowed to be a conscientious objector, I mean, you get criticized, you maybe get put in prison, or you have to do some kind of voluntary work. But if one has the guts to follow one's conscience, then you become a conscientious objector. You object, and some people in Israel and other countries have done that. They have objected, they have not joined the army. Then you go to jail. Okay, I'll go to jail, but I'm not going to be in the army. I'm not going to go and, have to act in a dehumanized way and dehumanize Palestinians at checkpoints and so forth. I've been to Israel. My brother lives in Israel, so I know a little bit about the situation there. And yeah, it's not a happy one. And that's also one of the collective effects of being in this world as human beings at this time. We have a lot of difficult situations which we are brought on. We are born at this time. We have to accept what it comes with, but we have to, as much as possible, behave as we can without engaging in the 10 unwholesome actions. And if we watch our minds very carefully, then we can save ourselves from a lot of suffering. So anyway, the fourth thing is suffering, right? The fourth, okay, in a nutshell, time is passing very fast today. Why is the meditation on suffering, on dukkha, First Noble Truth, after all, why is that likely to make our minds turn towards the Dharma? What is it about these teachings on suffering that are so powerful? Everybody knows that people suffer. What's the big deal? You could say, yeah, I know we suffer. When I go out in the street, I can see suffering people. What's the big deal? Yeah, it helps develop compassion. Why? How does it help us move our mind towards the Dharma? Sagar, are you putting your hand up again? You really are in a handy mood today. Badaiye?
It helps us develop renunciation. Am I audible?
Why? Give some feedback, give some flesh to your argument. You've made a bare bones skeletal statement. Not incorrect, but yeah, this is
Because
yeah. Don't be shy.
because we are stuck in this cyclic existence, and all emotions are painful. It is one of the four seals. All emotions are pain. So when we realize that we don't have the power to stop our birth, like we will rebirth again and again. We'll come to this samsara again and again. So we can develop a sort of renunciation to be born. And yeah.
Renunciation to be born?
Yeah,
you mean to not be born.
Yeah, to not be born. Yeah.
So you don't want to be a bodhisattva? You don't want to come back again and again and help others, yeah? You don't want to be born at all? You want to go
I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it, but it's very tough. It's like it does sound selfish, but just thinking about that, okay, I have to come here to help others. But it's so painful to be here. It's very tough to have that as even aspiration that okay, I'll come here again to help others.
Yes.
Mind always is like, okay, खुद को बचाओ, पहले खुद को बचाओ, because it's very painful here. Yeah.
बिल्कुल.
Yeah, being honest.
Yeah, बहुत ईमानदारी से बोल रहे हैं, बहुत ही आप सच बोल रहे हैं, ठीक है, very good. It's not easy, is it? after all of the tension, the trauma, the tsunami of negative emotions and pain in this world, we want peace, right? We want to be free of this garbage world. So then they say, oh, but you have to come back and help everyone who's been kind to you. Intellectually, you can understand that, but it's not easy, is it? As you say, it's not easy. We cannot pretend that it's easy for most of us. Some may have strong compassion instinct from past lives. It's possible, of course. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it definitely turns our mind towards the Dharma, not necessarily powerfully towards the Mahayana Dharma yet, because as Vedika put, compassion, yes, but are you willing to come back again and again into this world? Tricky one. Compassion now, okay, I can feel compassion for the starving children I see on the TV screen, and even, send food or go out to help them, but come back into this world again and again and have to be reborn and go to school and deal with relationships and in-laws and this and property tax and people, bullshitting me, me harming others. Do I want to go through that again and again and again? No way, Jose. No way. Of course, the point here is that the Bodhisattva has created such an incredible energy field of positive emotion, of joy, of wisdom, that they are immune to the negative effects of samsara, obviously. It's like, they've dived into icy water, but they have a proper, diving suit, and they have oxygen, they have everything they need to survive in freezing water. It's not like they're diving in naked. So the analogy there is, if a bodhisattva has the 6 perfections, they're practicing the 6 perfections, including the wisdom. Wow, what an amazing protection, what an amazing energy field of positivity. Then the bodhisattva never feels dejected or rejected or lonely, because they take joy in helping others, right? What is joyous effort? Anyone remember the first few verses of Shantideva's chapter on joyous effort? It is, anyone remember off the top of their heads without looking at the text? Or if you know the definition of joyous effort or vigilance, you will know. What is joyous effort? What is energy, exertion? It has different ways of translating. Again, Sagar, go for it. You're getting top marks today, sir. Bolo. What is effort?
No, I did not. I did not raise my hand this time.
So क्या तू कांग्रेस
It
पार्टी
was
का
up.
कांग्रेस
वो मैं
पार्टी
भूल गया
का
था.
नो पॉलिटिक्स
मैं भूल गया था नीचे करना.
नो पॉलिटिक्स, वरना ये सब मनुश्री, राजेश, प्रदीप ये सब झगड़ा करने लगेंगे और ये वैसे टीवी न्यूज शो जैसे हो जाएगा. नवीन भी, we think Naveen is very calm, nice person. He'll start shouting, his political views. Yeah. No, I'm joking. So what was I saying? I can't remember now. Remind me, Elaine. What are you going to say?
You asked what joyous effort was.
बताइए.
It's to have joy in virtue, in doing virtue.
Wonderful. So there you are. If the Bodhisattva has joy in all of his virtuous aspirations and speech and actions, well, he's living in joy. She's living in joy. Yeah, of course she knows what samsara is. Of course she understands. She's been through all that. She's been through the path. If you're a Bodhisattva, then you have developed already renunciation. Powerful renunciation, so powerful that you have it on behalf of others as well. You don't want others to go through the suffering. You don't just want to free yourself, you want to free other people from the suffering. So you have the joy. The first level of the Arya Bodhisattva is, what is it called? It's called the joyful one, the Bhumi. I can't remember the Sanskrit name. Anybody? The first Bhumi of the Bodhisattva.
Mudita?
I can't remember. It's what, well, mudita is joy in the four immeasurables, but I can't remember what the first pramudita maybe. This is the first bodhisattva bhumi. Anyway, you can check it out. Beautiful names in Sanskrit of the 10 bodhisattva bhumis. The first one translates in English as, the joyful one, the joyful bhumi. So bodhisattva is motivated by joy. So for them, they come back into this world, or wherever in the universe they go, they can go any place, pretty much, depending on how powerful a bodhisattva they are, how skillful. And wherever it is, they don't just cope, they flourish because they've trained their mind. It's just like, take another example. We don't flourish in a sewage pit, right? But there are certain bacteria, certain viruses that flourish in a sewage pit full of caca. They flourish. They love it. So it's like a bodhisattva in one way is very disturbed and saddened by samsara, obviously. But because they are motivated by joy due to their wish for engaging in beneficial actions and all of that, and by their unbelievable compassion, none of it can pull them down, bring them down. But as Sagar Bhai said, this is quite an unusual and difficult mind to generate, because right now it's like we just want to be free of this. We want to be free. We want peace. We've had a busy day, a lot of noise at the office and the street, commuting. We come back home, we just want to collapse in our favorite armchair and have a coffee and watch TV. We don't want to be then told, oh, you have to go back and help others. Of course, that's not a good analogy. The Bodhisattva has everything in place. The skillful means, the wisdom, the compassion. See, that's why it's a gradual path. And that's why they do so much practice. They have the whole arsenal of methods to be able to cope with any situation. That's what the mind training is about, isn't it? Right now, our minds are trained in comfort seeking, gain, pleasure, reputation, praise. That's what we're geared towards. So of course we have a hard time because we don't get that 24/7. We get a lot of nonsense from people. Bodhisattva doesn't work that way. They are wired in a different way, aren't they? They've already been, practicing for so long to go in a different direction from ordinary beings who are just comfort driven. What will the neighbors say? Driven, What will mommy, daddy say? What will the government say? What will, etc., etc. Bodhisattvas don't behave that way. They do what's beneficial for the world. Willing slave of the world, yeah? Unpaid slave of the world. It's one of the definitions in the Theravada literature, apparently, of a bodhisattva. Unpaid slave of the world, unpaid servant of the world. My very erudite English monk friend told me that. Who's now a geshe, teaching in France, very good friend from the days in England, a center there. He had that up on his wall in his little apartment. Well, his very small rooms near the dialectic school in MacLeodganj. Bodhisattva, the unpaid slave of the world.
Kabir ji,
Haji.
Isn't this definition a Mahayana definition? Because in Theravada tradition, personal liberation is the ultimate goal.
What we're saying is, yeah, of course, you're right in general, but it's amazing how, for example, in another context, in Sri Lanka in the past, Mahayana and Theravada were there together. Like there could be monasteries or centers where they're both Mahayana and Hinayana practitioners together. And you can find statues of Avalokiteshvara unearthed in Sri Lanka, which is totally Mahayana in one way, we think now, but you can find those statues in Sri Lanka. And even some elements of Vajrayana have been found in Burma, which we think is a purely Theravada country. And if you go to the Mahabodhi Society in Bodh Gaya here, you'll see that in their main shrine room, they have, of course, Shakyamuni Buddha, and they have Maitreya, and they have an Avalokiteshvara in their main shrine. So you see, there's a mixture also. And it's not as though Theravada texts and the original texts are unaware of what a bodhisattva is. It's just that they felt it was an impossible task for most beings to engage in that. They were going through the Saxena syndrome or the Sagar syndrome, where we feel, oh God, that's a bit difficult, I don't think I can do that, folks. Yeah, let's see, what's on television tonight, or, let me get back to morality, concentration, wisdom. That's enough for me, like that. Aren't the experiences that we gain in this life also worth it? Of course they are. I mean, even with the trauma and challenges, there's something beautiful happening every day that we often ignore. Totally agree, Vedika, totally agree. You go out, you see the sun, the leaves, you see people's faces. There is always something. There is dignity there. There is, even you see a sad face, there's something that then triggers you to be motivated to practice, And there are beautiful things happening. Now, people are helping one another. People are being kind to one another. Mothers are taking care of their children in all corners of the world. People are being very brave all over the world. In Russia as well as Ukraine, there are brave people doing what their consciences are telling them. Or just being kind and courageous. There are these things happening all over the world. And nature is a great source of inspiration for beings. And even the Buddhist texts say, let's go to forests, beautiful places. There are beautiful verses in Shantideva on going into such places, which then he said, immediately make your mind turn towards the Dharma, and where you then meditate on compassion and so forth. So yeah, this is very important. Milind is asking, can a bodhisattva be a bodhisattva without being aware, without being self-aware of being a bodhisattva? As many activists seem to be. They take joy in working for better of humanity and nature. Well, yes, but a bodhisattva, of course, in Mahayana has a specific definition. If you go by the definition, then the bodhisattva has to be somebody who wants to become completely awakened. In other words, develop their highest highest human potential to become fully awake, which we call a Buddha, fully awakened. Buddha means awake. So if your motivation is to become fully awakened in order to be a benefit to all sentient beings, including the people you are demonstrating against in your activist demonstration, then you can say you're a bodhisattva. But if you hold rancor and anger towards the terrible fossil fuel companies, and you want to save the poor people of Nigeria from the effects of the oil companies there, but you don't care about the CEO of the oil company because he's a bad person and should go to jail and rot in jail, then you are not a bodhisattva. So you see, it's not easy to be a bodhisattva. You have to feel equal compassion for all, and even through understanding karma, more compassion for the person who is creating the terrible negative karma, because they are going to suffer so much from their negative karma of poisoning people's water and soil through their oil companies or whatever. They're going to get terrible karma. So the bodhisattva feels even more compassion for the perpetrator of injustice, for example. Yeah, we can have a whole session on death and impermanence when I come back to Delhi. Yeah, but then if you have sleepless nights, don't complain or try to sue me. So I have very good lawyers. Yeah. What else? Navinji, sorry. Bolo.
Kabirji, I just want to check, are there major differences between Shravakas and Bodhisattvas? What are the major?
Yeah. So Shravaka is a being who, through hearing the teachings, then that's enough for them, and then they attain nirvana. They don't go on the bodhisattva path. Yeah, they're not motivated by great compassion. Yeah.
And
compared to me or most of us, they're very highly realized, obviously, but their aim is not Buddhahood.
Kabirji, historically, in Sri Lanka, for instance, till when would evidence suggest that Mahayana and Theravada coexisted in these buildings?
This is probably there in some book in the Tushita library, but I don't know of that. You can Google Sri Lankan Buddhism, and I'm sure you'll find the answer.
Okay.
I don't know. It could have been at least, I would imagine, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th century, something like that. But I'm just guessing. You have to go, Vedika. Very good. Thanks for turning up. Thanks for turning up. And it's a very interesting logo you have. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you. Haji, who's next? What's next? Who's next? That's, yeah. Wonderful session. Well, good. I'm glad you found it wonderful. Full of wonder. That's the meaning of that English word. Full of wonder. Star of beauty, star, what is it?
Star of beauty, star of light, star with something burning bright.
Yeah.
Star with,
Which is the Christmas carol? Wonderful. Maybe it's something else.
I think it's, yeah, maybe we three kings.
We three kings of Orient are bearing gifts you travel afar. Oh dear, long time since I sang Christmas carols. They sing them at Rishi Valley School. Last time I sang carols, it was at Rishi Valley School. They like to have a Christmas.
Kabirji, I was just
Star of wonder, star of light, star of beauty.
Star with something burning bright, but I don't know.
Google Swami will reveal everything.
Yeah. But Kabirji, I was just thinking of that remark that was made of you see all kinds of wonders. We do see all kinds of wonders in everyday life. But when we say you need to, your mind turn to the Dharma, you could also use it knowing that this wonderful thing that you're seeing is one impermanent, so you can enjoy it more because it's going to be short-lived. But there's another way, I think, is that everything that seems pleasant in samsara is like a bait. It's going to then start attracting you to not find samsara so repulsive, and your renunciation is going to suffer.
I understand what you're saying.
It's going to take that much longer.
That's why we need still. If we are so attached to the wonder of a sunrise that we get upset when it goes higher in the sky and gives us a burnt eye, then we're just stupid. We haven't understood how to use that wonderful experience. Sense, we can be stupid, we can be wise. If we're wise and have the right inner conditions, everything can be wonderful. That's the basis of Vajrayana, of Tantra. That at a certain point for the Tantric yogi, everything is wonderful. Everything is pure, everything is perfect. On one level, of course, they see the suffering. But on another level, as from the Tantric point of view, Vajrayana, the mind can be trained to see everything, all sounds as mantra, even that the cacophony from the street becomes mantra, all thoughts become dharmakaya, all visible objects become deities, and beautiful things. Yeah. So, like that, all sound is mantra, all thoughts are dharmakaya, all visual objects are in the nature of the deity, and all within this bliss and emptiness. Emptiness seems to be a key thing in all of these things, because so long as we solidify reality, then it becomes very messy, and then there's a duality is always set up, a push-pull, aversion, attraction. Emptiness, and that spaciousness of emptiness seems to open things up and make things very, very more at ease, like Shantideva says in that wonderful phrase in chapter 9, Oh you who investigate reality, please recognize, as I have done, all is just like space. Such a wonderful quote, all is just like space. Things are spacious. It's like he's telling us, relax, Relax, for heaven's sake. All is just like space. Don't take everything so seriously, so solidly. It's not like that. It's spacious, just like your mind is spacious, he's saying. Mind is spacious and Buddha, but we have messed it up with the believing in the disturbing emotions. By themselves, they are not painful, actually, Sagar. By themselves, the emotions are not painful. It's our ignorance that makes them painful. Whoops, now I've lost you. I have on my screen only the chat. So that's strange. Okay, right. So yeah, it's emotions, of course, in Vajrayana, all the emotions are regarded as energy. Energy can be utilized. Just like water can become destructive or it can be channeled and made incredibly useful when one knows how to channel the water energy. So all energy from a tantric point of view is useful. If we are without energy, we are dead. We are useless. The less energy we are, the less we can be good Dharma practitioners. We need energy. We need passion. We need, to a certain extent, a kind of aggression, but not the aggression linked with anger or attachment or a wish to harm. But we need energy. Without energy, we're dead. That's what depression is, isn't it? We have no energy. We feel no energy. And unfortunately, a lot of the world is going through that for various reasons. Energy is very depressed. But we need energy. So there are many ways in the teachings to start developing that. By making friends with ourselves, by having a proper lifestyle, not eating too much, not sleeping too much. That's there in the Gita as well, of course. All those methods for having a good lifestyle which can increase our energy. We need energy. We shouldn't think in the name of Buddhism, I need to have less energy so that I'm more passive and therefore less likely to engage in, verbal, speech and mental negative karma. No, that's not so good. We need energy. Because without energy also we can't live a proper life or even help other people. We won't want to get out of bed in the morning or go beyond our bedroom or house if we don't have energy. So we need energy. So energy is not bad, emotions are bad, but because we cling to them and see them as real and fixate on the object of anger, the object of lust, then we suffer. If we can just be with the energy itself, then there is no problem. So how do we find the balance? Hold on. This kind of compassion towards perpetrator is not often appreciated in the conventional world. For instance, when Gandhi wrote to Hitler to request for peace, but it addressed him as dear friend, it was criticized. Of course, yeah. And we have to be skillful. We have to know when we have to act tough and when we can be gentle. No one is saying a bodhisattva cannot act tough. They have to act tough. We've said this many times before. People misbehave in this world so badly that a bodhisattva has to act tough sometimes, has to beat people up to pacify them. But just like, Marpa beat his disciple Milarepa, but out of great compassion, knowing that it was good for his disciple, that it would purify his negative karma, and it did. So if we allow a bad person who's behaving badly to go around murdering, killing, and raping people, then we are not acting properly. We're not even acting decently, let alone as a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva will take all means to try and stop a person who's behaving in that way, if they can. Not in the name of compassion, they all are smiling at them, being gentle with them. Yeah, please, kidnap and kill my child, or rape my wife. Bodhisattvas aren't like that. Or please kick me, kill me. No. So how do we find a balance between such compassionate action and conventional politics? Heavens knows. You have to work it out yourself. Understand what Buddha is saying, then understand what politics entails, and see if you can create an ethical politics. Of course you can. It's motivated by wisdom and compassion. Everything becomes ethical, can become ethical and useful, including politics. But then you need to have some people helping you. You can't be the only ethical politician in parliament. That would be difficult for you. Or, that would be very difficult. You need to start again, if you start a party, then you have politics in the party and who's going to be chairman, who's going to be blah, blah, blah. So really, it's quite difficult. But of course, you're not talking about, you are talking about conventional politics. So let's say, to hell with conventional politics. Let's have an unconventional politics, a politically incorrect politics, which is based on ethics, morality, concentration, wisdom, all within great compassion. Let's start that kind of politics. Yeah, then I will join your party if you start such a party or such a group of people. I will sign up for sure. Can't promise to attend every session, but I'll sign up because that's what we need. You're absolutely right that we need to find a balance and we need to energize politics and everything in a positive way. Everything. Because it's just so dirty. It's so pathetically childish. And problem is these people have so much power. Crazy throughout the world. Of course, we can rejoice that at least for the time being, somebody who seems a little bit more sane has been elected in Brazil. Not England, I have to say. Let's not get caught up with the fact that Rishi Sunak is a brown person. He's totally Western in many ways, and I would say even anti-poor and anti, many liberal good things. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. But in Brazil, we have someone who has pledged that they will help save the Amazon rather than cut down every tree there, like the previous ridiculous incumbent, who was invited to our Republic Day parade, by the way, a few years ago. Didn't think that was such a great move. Anyway, we need to find a balance. We need to be brave. We need to be courageous. As Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau, the American alternative thinker, you could say, and who wrote his classic book, Baldan, or Life in the Woods. He said, in an unjust society, then all good people should be in jail. They shouldn't be out of jail. They should be in jail because they should have protested against injustice and wrong deeds of governments and so forth. But I doubt any of us will be going to jail in a hurry. We wouldn't want to miss our morning coffee. I wouldn't want to miss my morning tea and digestive biscuit. I'd make sure I got my supplies of that in jail. What's been said seldom gets noticed, but how it's said is always dissected, says Sagar. That's interesting. Maybe Pradeepji would have something to say about that, being a journalist, ex-journalist. What's been said, what is being said, is it? What is being said seldom gets noticed, but how it is said is always dissected. Well, people shout and rant and rave, don't they, so much? Bhais, what's the Indian expression? Bhais bada ya kya? What's the expression? Lathi, what is it?
Lathi badi ki bhais.
Lathi badi ki bhais. Yeah. Would you like to translate that into English, Pradeep?
Is the stick more powerful than the buffalo?
Then what? Is a stick more powerful than?
The buffalo in this, but I think it means like, I don't know, I think is authority or power. I don't know. It kind of, it only does it in Hindi.
Yeah, I think is authority more powerful than strength, brute strength?
Than
I think it means
as in buffalo.
Is a buffalo.
As in, argument.
No,
buffalo.
it's
Buffalo.
Is it? Anyway, isn't it the same sounding word? Bhais or bhais? What's the difference?
No. Bhais. And this is bhais. It's got a bindi on top.
I'm too British. I'm still too British.
Nasal.
I have a good excuse. I left India when I was learning all that and got anglicized.
Kabirji, it's bhas badi ya akal. This is the saying.
Ah,
Yeah.
akal badi ya bhain.
Yeah.
Akal badi ya
Yes,
bhain.
Akal badi.
That is a different
right.
one. Lathi,
Akal badi ya
Lathi,
bhain.
different one. No,
Is
there two.
intelligence stronger or buffalo? Yeah. Or is that mass? Anyway. So there we are. Goodness me, 10 to 9, and you people have energy. What? You don't have lives apart from Zoom? Don't you have any real lives, you people? Well, Geetaji, you have a whole travel agency.
No, Kabirji,
around.
I have to go. I have to run.
Time is money, yaar. Yahan kya kar rahe hain? And I think Anushri forfeited her dinner, and Tushita Wallas are just hanging in there, not afraid of the AQI 300 plus in Delhi or whatever it is when they go out of the door. Goodness me. But they do
Kabirji,
have
thank you. I have to go.
Kabirji,
You have
yeah,
to
even
go.
I have to go. Yes.
Thank you for this. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. And
Thank you.
you had mentioned, who had mentioned all the people who had passed away? That was Minotiji. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people have passed away, but she knew. We can dedicate for them as you go. But we can go on a few more minutes. Those who want to stay, those who need to leave, please leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kabirji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Abhi.
Thank you, Vishal Bhai. Thank you. That's true, because at the moment there's a desire to turn indifferent towards what is happening around us, but wouldn't be right, at least from the Dharma perspective. We can be very indifferent. There's like too much to cope with, isn't there? You know, we have our own issues, and then we have Somalia, we have Ukraine, we have Brazil, we have so much happening in our own country. I mean, it's like we feel, you know, how much can I cope with? How many people can I care for? And perhaps, you know, I don't even care for myself enough. So how can I care for all these people? You know? So yeah, there's work to be done. That's why we have to read the text, listen, study, reflect, and practice. There's no other formula. There's no shortcut. So if we keep on saying, oh, I can't feel this, I can't feel the Dharma, it's not energizing me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, my life is miserable. We're just not doing the right practice. It's like we haven't been to the right doctor, or we've been to the doctor, we're not following their instructions. We're not taking their medicine. All we read is the label. We can recite the label of the medicine, which is on our shelf, which we never use. That's what we're doing sometimes, isn't it? We know all the labels, we know the names, but we're not taking the medicine. Who only blame ourselves? And the 8 worldly feelings, the 8 worldly dharmas are distracting us again and again and again and again, without break, morning to night, and then even in our dreams. So we can't even have lucid dreams or nice dreams. We don't know how to do it. Our mind is so believes whatever appears, believes what's happening in the dream, that it's really happening, it's true. That's ignorance. So Buddhism is showing us, you know, the Buddha said that he totally woke up. So there's no more, you know, kind of dreaming, no more illusion at all. No more illusion. Yeah. Okay, we'll stop there. I have some work calls coming. I'm sure you all have things to do. Thank you very much for your patience, and hope to see some of you Thursday evening. Thursday may start with half an hour of some led by, I think, Nidita, and then I will turn up at 7 o'clock, and we'll continue with this, I hope, quite useful analysis that we're going through. So I thank all the participants very much, all of you, and take care, have a good evening, stay safe, and yeah, dedicate for all of us to never be separated from the authentic teachings and teachers, and all the teachers to have long lives, and then all the people who we're dedicating for, we are dedicating for we're dedicating for Kamal Sahani, Minoti's brother's mother-in-law, Surajit Roy, the dear 61-year-old friends, Dr. Hamesh Bahari, my uncle, father's elder brother, last of 10 siblings, one generation born, Samosa, our pet dog, Doggo. Doggo? What's the doggo? Dog. Doggo is dog? Yeah, okay. Kaju is the rabbit, our rabbit in school. In her school, the rabbit died. So dedicate for these beings and all the other beings who are suffering or just died or are dying or in any suffering circumstance. And for our lives to be most meaningful, for us to abide and practice in a very joyful state, becoming totally acclimatized and habituated to virtue, positive actions. May this guide us in every way, energize us, so that we can work for others who are drowning in the ocean of samsara. Please pray for the long life of His Holiness Dalai Lama, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Dzongsa Rinpoche, Chokini Rinpoche, Mingyur Rinpoche, Geshe Doje Damdullah, all the great teachers who are helping sentient beings so much, guiding them towards enlightenment. And thank everybody at Tushita for running the center. Everyone, thank you for joining in, making the session so worthwhile. Thank you and good night.